The Huns were a nomadic people who emerged from Central Asia in the 4th century AD. They were known for their exceptional horsemanship and military prowess, which allowed them to dominate vast territories. Attila the Hun is the most famous leader of the Huns, reigning from 434 to 453 AD. Under Attila's leadership, the Huns reached the height of their power and influence, striking fear into the hearts of both the Eastern and Western Roman empires. The Huns were skilled horse archers using composite bows to great effect in battle. Their ability to shoot accurately while riding at high speeds made them formidable opponents on the battlefield. The Huns' primary weapon was the composite bow, which could fire arrows with great force and accuracy. This weapon was lighter and more powerful than the simple wooden bows used by many of their adversaries. The Huns often used psychological warfare to intimidate their enemies. They would use tactics like loud war cries, gruesome displays of captured heads, and sudden unexpected attacks to demoralize their foes. The Hun society was highly mobile, with a lifestyle centered around herding and raiding. They lived in portable dwellings called yurts, which allowed them to move quickly and efficiently across the steppe. The Huns were not a single unified ethnic group, but a confederation of various tribes. This coalition included groups of different origins, such as Turkic, Mongolic, and Iranian peoples, bound together by a common way of life and leadership. The Huns' raids into Europe began in the late 4th century, pushing Germanic tribes westward. These incursions disrupted the political and social structures of the late Roman Empire, contributing to its eventual decline. The Huns' language is believed to have been a form of Turkic, though this is still debated by scholars. Some linguists argue that it may have been a unique language or a mix of several languages spoken by the diverse groups within the Hunnic confederation. The Huns had a hierarchical social structure with a clear distinction between leaders and followers. The chieftains and nobles held significant power, while the common people were expected to follow their commands without question. The Huns' economy was based on pastoralism, trade, and plunder. They raised livestock, traded goods with neighboring civilizations, and conducted raids to acquire wealth and resources. The Huns were known for their brutal treatment of captives and conquered peoples. They often enslaved or executed those they defeated, using fear as a tool to maintain control over their territories. The Huns' military tactics were characterized by rapid mobility and surprise attacks. They would strike suddenly, retreat quickly, and then return to attack again, keeping their enemies off balance. The Huns' appearance was described by contemporary sources as fierce and intimidating. They were often depicted with long, unkempt hair, heavy beards, and tattoos, which added to their fearsome reputation. The Huns' political organization was decentralized, with power distributed among tribal leaders. While there were strong leaders like Attila, the overall structure was more fluid, with individual tribes retaining a degree of autonomy. The Huns' impact on European history is often exaggerated, but they did play a significant role in the fall of the Western Roman Empire. Their raids and invasions contributed to the weakening of Roman defenses and the migration of other tribes into Roman territory. The Huns' religious beliefs were likely shamanistic, involving the worship of nature spirits and ancestors. Shamans played important roles in their society, serving as intermediaries between the human and spiritual worlds. The Huns' diet was primarily meat-based, supplemented by dairy products and wild plants. They relied heavily on their herds of horses, cattle, and sheep for sustenance, and their nomadic lifestyle meant they had limited access to agriculture. The Huns' clothing was practical and well-suited to their environment. They wore thick, layered garments made from animal hides and furs to protect against the harsh conditions of the steppe. The Huns' women were known to participate in warfare alongside men. This gender equality in combat roles was unusual for the time and reflected the egalitarian nature of their society. The Huns' marriage customs involved the exchange of gifts and the payment of bride prices. These practices helped to strengthen alliances between tribes and ensure the loyalty of family members. The Huns' burial practices included the construction of kurgans, large mounds of earth covering the graves of important individuals. These tombs often contained valuable goods and weapons, reflecting the status and achievements of the deceased. The Huns' art was primarily functional, with decorative elements appearing on weapons, tools, and personal items. Their craftsmanship was highly skilled, and they often incorporated intricate designs and symbols into their creations. The Huns' influence extended beyond their immediate territory, affecting the political landscape of Eurasia. Their movements and conquests reshaped the boundaries of empires and kingdoms, leading to significant demographic changes. The Huns' military success was partly due to their superior horsemanship and tactical flexibility. They could adapt their strategies to different terrains and enemy formations, giving them an edge in battle. The Huns' relationship with the Roman Empire was complex, involving periods of both conflict and cooperation. They sometimes acted as mercenaries for the Romans, while at other times they were formidable adversaries. The Huns' legacy is preserved in the works of ancient historians like Ammianus, Marcellinus, and Jordanes. These accounts provide valuable insights into the Huns' culture, military tactics, and interactions with other civilizations. The Huns' decline began after the death of Attila in 453 AD. Without his strong leadership, the Hunnic confederation fragmented and their power waned. The Huns' descendants are believed to have assimilated into various European and Asian populations. Over time, the distinct identity of the Huns faded as they intermarried with other groups and adopted new cultural practices. The Huns' military campaigns often targeted wealthy cities and regions for their rich spoils. They sought to enrich themselves through the plunder of gold, silver, and other valuable goods. The Huns' impact on the migration period was profound, influencing the movement of other tribes. Their presence and actions triggered a chain reaction of migrations that reshaped the map of Europe. The Huns' diplomatic relations with the Roman Empire were marked by treaties and alliances. These agreements were often short-lived, as the Huns' ambitions and the Roman suspicions frequently led to renewed conflict. The Hun social hierarchy was reinforced through rituals and ceremonies that celebrated their leaders. These events served to legitimize the authority of chieftains and maintain social cohesion. The Huns' military camps were well organized, with strict discipline and clear lines of command. This structure ensured that their forces could operate effectively and respond quickly to changing circumstances. The Huns' economic activities included the extraction of tribute from conquered peoples. They demanded regular payments of goods and services from subjugated tribes, which helped to sustain their own economy. The Huns' cultural practices were influenced by the diverse groups that formed their confederation. Each tribe brought its own traditions and customs, creating a rich and varied cultural tapestry. The Huns' military tactics were designed to exploit the weaknesses of their enemies. They would feign retreats to lure opponents into traps, or use decoys to mislead them. The Huns' political alliances were often temporary, formed out of necessity rather than lasting loyalty. They would align with one group to defeat a common enemy, only to turn on their former allies when it suited their interests. The Huns' religious practices included the veneration of natural phenomena and the spirits of their ancestors. They believed that these supernatural entities could influence the outcome of battles and other important events. The Huns' artistic expressions were often symbolic, representing their values and beliefs. Their art featured motifs like animals, celestial bodies, and geometric patterns, which held deep cultural significance. The Huns' military training was rigorous, focusing on developing skills in horsemanship and archery. Young boys were trained from an early age to become proficient riders and marksmen. The Huns' impact on the Roman economy was significant, as their raids disrupted trade routes and agricultural production. The constant threat of invasion forced the Romans to divert resources to defense, weakening their overall economic stability. The Huns' legal system was based on customary law, with disputes settled by tribal elders. These leaders acted as judges, using their knowledge of tradition to resolve conflicts and maintain order. The Huns' influence on the development of medieval warfare was notable, particularly in the use of cavalry. Their tactics and equipment inspired later European armies to adopt similar methods. The Huns' impact on the spread of diseases is a topic of historical interest, as their movements may have facilitated the transmission of illnesses. Their frequent contact with different populations could have contributed to the spread of epidemics across the continent. The Huns' legacy is often romanticized in literature and popular culture, with figures like Attila portrayed as legendary conquerors. This romanticization has shaped public perception, sometimes overshadowing the more nuanced historical realities. The Huns' impact on the development of fortifications in Europe was significant, as cities and towns built stronger defenses to protect against their raids. The construction of walls and towers became a priority in many regions, altering the urban landscape. The Huns' influence on the development of medieval armor and weaponry can be seen in the adoption of their composite bow and lamellar armor. These innovations were integrated into the arsenals of European and Asian armies, enhancing their combat capabilities. The Huns' legacy continues to be studied by historians and archaeologists who seek to uncover more about their way of life and historical impact. Ongoing research and excavations provide new insights into the Huns' culture, economy, and interactions with other civilizations.